Let me ask you something before we go anywhere in this story. You are in your own home, a home you own, a home you built, a home where your daughter and your granddaughter sleep upstairs. And the man you have been with for 6 years, the man you said yes to when he proposed, will not leave. You told him to leave multiple times. He refused. You grabbed a knife and told him to get out. He pulled out his phone and started recording, and then he shot you 6 times. 6 shots, 8 wounds, in your own bedroom, in your own house. And then, as you lay on the floor, your daughter came running from downstairs. She heard the shots. She was coming to you. She was trying to reach her mother, and he stopped her. He stood in that hallway and physically blocked your daughter from getting to you in your final moments. That is what happened to Amanda Sharon Williams on the night of October 9th, 2023 in Warrensville Heights, Ohio. And that last detail, the one about the hallway, the daughter, the blocked door, is the detail that most coverage of this case has not given the weight it deserves. That is what we are doing today. Let's get into it. Before we talk about Tirrell Edwards, before we talk about the recording, before we talk about the 23 days it took to get an arrest warrant, we need to talk about her, because her name deserves to be said fully and her life deserves to be known completely. Amanda Sharon Williams was born on April 18, 1977, in Cleveland, Ohio. She was the daughter of George Williams and Jewel Lewis. She grew up in a large family with strong community roots. She graduated from Shaw High School in 1995. She went on to earn a Bachelor of Science degree from Cleveland State University. And then she built something. She opened Alamode Styles, a salon in University Heights, Ohio, just outside of Cleveland. 80% of salons closed within 18 months. Amanda's didn't. She built a client base that kept coming back. Not just because of her skill, but because of who she was in that chair. People came because they liked her, because she was warm, because sitting in Amanda's salon felt like being seen. She did not stop there. She created her own product line, Charma Diamond hair extensions and a hair and scalp care product called the Beer Bomb. She put it on shelves at a local beauty supply store. She posted about it on social media with the quiet pride of a woman who had built something from nothing and knew exactly what it cost her to get there. She had 2 children, Tyler and Tristan. Tyler lived with her, along with Tyler's 4-year-old daughter, Tylen, Amanda's granddaughter. Her adult son, Tristan, was in her life. Her brother, Joey, was close. Her mother, Jewel, was a constant presence. She was a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Incorporated, one of the oldest and most respected historically Black sororities in the country. She was active in her community, present in her church, connected to the people around her in a way that was visible and real. On her social media, Amanda posted motivational content, self-improvement messages, encouragement for the people in her orbit, not a performance, not a brand strategy. That was who she actually was, someone who wanted the people around her to do better and be better. Pastor Rob Vernon of the Word Church in Warrensville Heights, who knew her personally, said, "There are some people, and I've been doing this a long time, that when they walk in the room, they light up the room." That was her. 46 years old, a salon, a product line, a granddaughter, a sorority, a community that loved her back. That is Amanda Sharon Williams, and she should still be here. Tirrell Edwards, and I want to be precise about that name, because every other video covering this case spells it incorrectly. Tirrell Edwards was 41 years old. He worked at a hospital. He drove for Walmart on the side. He and Amanda had been together for 6 years and lived together in Amanda's home on Sunset Drive in Warrensville Heights. On social media, they looked like what people expect a long-term couple to look like. Valentine's and dinners, a trip to Vegas for his birthday, an Usher concert in premium seats, anniversary posts, smiling photos, the kind of documentation that says, "We are doing this together." In early 2023, Tirrell proposed. Family and friends were there. Amanda said yes. They were already in couples counseling by then. And according to Amanda's family and friends, she had been thinking about leaving. Let me tell you what was underneath all of those social media posts. Because Amanda kept something hidden from almost everyone who loved her. And understanding what she hid and why is essential to understanding every decision she made in the years before October 9th. In November 2020, 3 years before she died, Amanda was hospitalized. What happened to put her there did not come out publicly until after her death. 2 days after that hospitalization, she sent Tirrell a text message. And that message is one of the most important documents in this entire case. She wrote, "Every time I look in the mirror, I get angry all over again. To walk around looking like a battered woman is not only embarrassing, but humiliating. To use your foot to do damage is one of the ultimate signs of destruction. And you complain about me being a strong woman. Well, if I weren't as strong as I am, I would have had you thrown in jail and exposed you to everyone." No response needed. He kicked her in the face, hard enough to hospitalize her. Hard enough that she could not let people see her face. So she told everyone the mask was for COVID. She wore a mask. She hid the bruises. She went back to work, back to her salon, back to her life, and carried that in silence. Even her daughter Tyler, who lived with her, did not know what had happened. Tirrell's response to that text was, "I'm glad we're both strong, and I hope you feel better, and I'm sorry for what I did." Then he added, "I just wish the love we say we have for each other would show every day unconditionally." And Amanda replied, "It will never be the same." She said that. In 2020, it will never be the same. And 3 years later, she said yes when he proposed. There is also this. According to family members, Tirrell had been arrested for violence against Amanda as early as 2019. A different woman reportedly filed a restraining order against him in 2020, accusing him of stalking and threats. This was not a man without a history. This was a man whose pattern had been written down before, in police reports, in restraining order filings, in a text message from Amanda herself, and still, the world around them could not pull Amanda out of what she was in. That is not a judgment of Amanda. That is the reality of what intimate partner violence does to people. It does not announce itself cleanly. It does not come with an exit sign. It comes with apologies and anniversaries and a proposal in front of family and friends and two people in couples counseling trying to make something work that a man's boot had already broken. Let me walk you through exactly what happened, because the sequence of events on October 9th, 2023 matters enormously. Earlier that day, Amanda had returned from a cosmetology convention in Columbus. She was building something. She was present in her industry. She came home to her house, her daughter, her granddaughter. The argument started over text. The two of them had been back and forth through text messages during the day. At one point, the dispute involved furniture. When Amanda did not respond to one of Tirrell's messages quickly enough, the argument escalated. Amanda disconnected Tirrell's phone service. He got a new number and kept texting. By the time they were both home, the argument had moved to the basement, away from Tyler and Tylen upstairs. Amanda told him to leave. He refused. He started packing his things but was not actually leaving. That is important. He made the motion of leaving without any intention of going. Then Tirrell went out to his car. He had 2 guns on the nightstand inside the house. He took both guns out to the car. He said later that in that moment, he was worried about what he might do with them. Let me say that again. He admitted in his own words, in a police car, on camera, that he moved the guns because he was worried he was going to use them. And then he went back inside. The argument moved upstairs to Amanda's bedroom. Amanda grabbed a knife and told him to get out. Tirrell pulled out his phone and started recording. What the camera captured and what the prosecution would play for a jury 4 months later was this: Amanda holding a knife, telling him to leave, and then Amanda setting the knife down, putting it on a ledge, stepping toward him, not with the knife, but toward his phone, trying to stop him from recording her. That is when Tirrell Edwards reached under the mattress of Amanda Williams' own bed, pulled out her gun and shot her. 6 shots, 8 wounds. The investigation revealed Edwards fired 6 shots at Amanda Williams, causing 8 wounds to her body. He never said put the knife down. He never said I have a gun. He never said stop or I will shoot. Not once. Nothing. After the shots, silence on the recording. Then Tyler's voice from downstairs, calling up, asking what happened. Tyler came running. And Tirrell Edwards not only provided 0 medical attention to Williams after he shot her, but also stopped Williams's daughter from providing needed aid to her mother. He stood in that hallway and blocked her. Amanda Williams lay on the floor of her own bedroom. Her daughter was steps away, and the man who shot her would not let that daughter through. She was transported by EMS to Cleveland Clinic South Point Hospital, where she was later pronounced deceased. When officers arrived at 19700 Sunset Drive just before midnight on October 9th, Tirrell Edwards was on scene. He had called 911 himself. He gave them his version immediately. Amanda came at him with a knife. He feared for his life. He shot in self-defense. He invoked Ohio's Stand Your Ground law. And because of that claim, and the evidence available to officers in those first hours, the Warrensville Heights Police Department held him for 48 hours, reviewed what they had, and released him. No charges, insufficient evidence. Amanda's family received that news and refused to accept it. Her mother, Jewel Lewis, stood outside the Warrensville Heights Police Department and said, "I have to live the rest of my life knowing that I wasn't there for my baby." She must have been terrified. She must have been terrified for her children. Tyler stood beside her grandmother and said, "I just want justice for my mom. Something has to happen. We don't feel safe." Her brother Joey said, "She got an army behind her, and we begging for it the right way." The family was not going to let the stand your ground claim be the end of Amanda's story. The family hired Ian Friedman, a Marcy's law attorney. They gathered everything Amanda had kept on her phone. The text from 2020 where she confronted Tirrell about kicking her in the face. Photos from that same time. Hospital records. Documentation of the 2019 arrest. The restraining order filed by another woman in 2020. 2 weeks after Amanda's death, they organized a press conference. They marched to the Warrensville Heights Police Department. They presented the full picture, not just the night of October 9th, but the years that led to it. Pastor Rob Vernon of the Word Church stood before the cameras and said what the evidence showed clearly. "I saw a pattern of domestic abuse. Abuse, apology. Abuse, apology." Friedman told the media the evidence that the police department had earlier was not the full picture. Once seen, now there should be an investigation. And now Amanda will get what she deserves as the justice in this case. Amanda's sorority sisters showed up. Her clients showed up. People whose hair she had done, people whose lives she had touched, people who had sat in her chair and felt seen, they all came. They held signs, they chanted. They refused to let a stand your ground claim be the period at the end of her life. This is justice rewritten. We stay on every case until the full truth is told. If you have not subscribed yet, do it now. It is free. And it tells the algorithm that Amanda Williams' life matters. 23 days after Amanda's death, on November 3rd, 2023, the Warrensville Heights Police Department announced that evidence had been presented to a grand jury in Cuyahoga County. The grand jury reviewed everything: the texts, the photos, the hospital records, the video Tirrell recorded, his statements to police, the medical examiner's findings. After several weeks of outcry from family, friends, and community members, a grand jury indicted Edwards on charges in early November. He turned himself in the following day. He was held on a $1 million bond. The community had done what the initial investigation had not. They forced the full picture into the light. On February 27, 2024, nearly 5 months after Amanda's death, Tirrell Edwards' trial began at the Cuyahoga County Justice Center in downtown Cleveland. He was charged with 1 count of aggravated murder, 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of felonious assault, and 1 count of domestic violence. The courtroom was packed with people who loved Amanda. Her family, her sorority sisters, her clients, Pastor Vernon, people who had driven downtown in the middle of winter to sit in those seats and make sure Amanda was not alone in that room. The prosecution played the cell phone video Tirrell had recorded, the video he thought would prove his story. The video he believed showed Amanda attacking him. It showed something different. It showed Amanda with a knife, yes. It showed her arguing, yes. And then it showed her set the knife down on a ledge and walk toward him, not holding the knife, reaching for his phone. When Tirrell grabbed the gun from under the mattress at the headboard of the bed, Amanda was several feet away at the foot of the bed. The prosecution stressed that in the video, Edwards never asked Williams to put down the knife, never told her he had a gun, and did not warn her that he was going to shoot her. The medical examiner testified that Amanda was not in a position to lunge at him. The prosecution also played body camera footage of Tirrell in the police car after the shooting, telling officers that earlier in the evening he had taken his 2 guns out to his car because he was worried he was about to use them. Assistant prosecutor Kevin Filiatrout told the jury, he never once in that video said, "I've got your gun, please stop." There were also 8 gunshot wounds on Amanda's body from 6 shots. The prosecution argued that level of force is not consistent with a man who fired in a moment of terror. It is consistent with a man who was not stopping until the threat, the woman telling him to leave her house, was gone. Tirrell Edwards testified in his own defense. He said Amanda told him if he was going to stay that night, he would have to sleep with one eye open. He said he had no choice. He said he did not want to shoot her. The jury watched the video. The jury heard the evidence. And on Monday, March 4th, 2024, they came back. On March 4, Edwards was found guilty of 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of felonious assault, and 1 count of domestic violence. He was found not guilty of aggravated murder. 5 guilty verdicts. He was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs. The video he recorded to save himself had convicted him. 1 week later, on March 11, 2024, the court reconvened for sentencing. The judge first denied the defense's motion to overturn the verdict, and then Amanda's family spoke. Tirrell Williams stood before the court. She said, "I can't never call my mom again and tell her I love her. I can't never call and tell her about my day." She said, "You said you never wanted me to be traumatized. I was traumatized the moment I walked in that room and saw my mom lying there. I couldn't even hold her with her last breath." She could not hold her mother with her last breath because Tirrell Edwards stood in that hallway and blocked the door. Tyler also said, "My daughter has to grow up without a grandma." 4-year-old Tylen, Amanda's granddaughter, growing up in a world where the woman who loved her fiercely will only ever exist in photographs. The family's attorney read a statement from Amanda's son, Tristan Bentley. Joey Lewis, Amanda's brother, spoke to the court about what his sister's absence means for every child in that family as they grow up. Jewel Lewis, Amanda's mother, had already said everything she needed to say outside that police station 2 weeks after her daughter's death. The weight of those words had already done their work. Prosecutor Michael C. O'Malley said, on October 10, 2023, Tirrell Edwards shot and killed Amanda Williams. Her loss to her family, friends, and this community is immeasurable. I hope Mr. Edwards spends the rest of his life in prison remembering the pain his actions caused this community. The judge sentenced Tirrell Edwards to life in prison with parole eligibility after 15 years, plus 9 additional years for 3 firearm specifications, all to run consecutively. Tirrell Edwards would spend a minimum of 24 years in prison before he could even be considered for parole. Outside the courthouse, Joey Lewis said, "We got what we can get. We're satisfied and we can begin to heal." They began to heal. But Tyler still does not have her mother. Tylen still does not have her grandmother. Tristan still does not have his mother. Jewel still does not have her daughter. There are things this story is asking all of us to hear. The first, a text message Amanda sent in 2020 said everything the justice system needed to know about who Tirrell Edwards was. To use your foot to do damage is one of the ultimate signs of destruction. She wrote that. She documented it. She saved the hospital records. She saved the photos. She was building a file on what he was doing to her, even as she stayed. That file sat on her phone until after she was dead. And only because her family knew to look for it and knew to fight for it did it ever reach a grand jury. If Amanda's family had not organized, if the sorority sisters had not shown up, if the pastor had not held a press conference, if Ian Friedman had not presented the full picture, the stand your ground claim might have been the final word. The initial investigation released Tirrell Edwards in 48 hours. The community's activism is the reason that is not where the story ended. The second, he blocked the door. I want to say that one more time because it is the detail that tells you everything about what kind of man Tirrell Edwards is. After shooting Amanda 6 times in her own bedroom, he stood in the hallway and prevented her daughter from reaching her. That is not the behavior of a man in shock after a traumatic self-defense incident. That is the behavior of a man who wanted to make sure the job was finished, who did not want anyone interfering, who chose in that moment to deny a daughter the chance to hold her mother's hand. Tirrell Williams said she was traumatized the moment she walked in that room and saw her mother. She was even more traumatized because she could not hold her with her last breath. Tirrell Edwards made that choice, deliberately. The third, one family member said outside that courthouse, "I would like for women to learn from this. Domestic violence is real and one time is enough. You can lose your life by staying too long. One time is enough. Not a pattern, not escalation, not a documented history. One time. Because by the time the pattern is documented, the way Amanda documented it, carefully, in text messages and hospital photos saved to her phone, it may already be too late to use it while you are still alive. Amanda Sharon Williams saved the evidence. Her family found it after she was gone. That is the most painful sentence in this entire story. Amanda Sharon Williams was 46 years old. She was born in Cleveland, Ohio on April 18, 1977. She graduated from Shaw High School and Cleveland State University. She built a salon that beat the odds. She created a product line that got on the shelves. She raised 2 children. She had a granddaughter named Tylen who will grow up knowing who her grandmother was because this family refused to let her be forgotten. She was a Delta Sigma Theta. She lit up rooms. She encouraged people. She showed up. She told Tirrell Edwards to leave her house. And he shot her 6 times in her own bedroom with her own gun while her daughter and granddaughter were upstairs. Tirrell Edwards is serving a minimum of 24 years at a state correctional institution in Ohio. He will be eligible for parole, at the earliest, in 2047. And Amanda Williams, 46 years old, will never call her daughter again. This is justice rewritten. We stay until the truth is fully told. If this video moved you, subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24 hours a day at 1-800-799-7233 or text BEGIN to 88788. One call, one text. That all takes to start. If you are struggling, call or text 988. Free, confidential, 24 hours a day. Rest in peace, Amanda.